life's too short, I'm on the run, but to my eyes you are the sunshine, sunshine, sunshine.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Tim Gray Talk Show. Listen, I hope you all are having a great 2022. We got a lot to get into on this episode. Before we venture into this episode, I kind of want to point something out because, no matter if you're rich or poor, no matter if you're black or white, no matter where you come from, we all have 24 hours in a day, right? Some people spend their 24 hours playing video games. Some people spend their 24 hours doing nothing, going through life, trying to walk around, see what there's out there to do. But this next guest that we have on stage is really the epitome of time management. This next guest owns over 10 businesses. Some highlights: he has Motu Lakeshore Wine there in Muskegon, Michigan. He has Sips Coffee and Cocktail. Just started a new venture in downtown Grand Rapids, Ambiance Kitchen and Lounge. I mean, we're going to get into all of that so much that I can't even introduce this all. Let's take up half the show. So let's welcome Jonathan Jelks.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here.
Yes, sir, man.
Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you too, man. I'm greatly appreciative of you coming on, joining us today. Now, I want to pick your brain because you're very well known in the city, very well known, and there's a lot of ventures that you have, and most people are seeing the success.
Yeah.
But Frederick Douglass once said, "Without struggle, there is no success."
Yeah.
So tell our guests, what was the struggle like for you? What was the dark tunnel in life for you before you got to where you are?
I don't feel like I've even arrived at the destination yet, first and foremost, right? It's just putting in the work every day, trying to make progress, trying to be productive, trying to accomplish those goals that you've identified for yourself, and manifest what you think, your purpose is and, what you should be doing with your life. I think there's always dark days, dark tunnels, ebbs and flows. For example, you mentioned Ambiance Kitchen and Lounge, our new bar downtown Grand Rapids, in the heart of the city, which we're very proud of, feel very accomplished that we were able to make that happen. But it was over $1 million build out at the end of the day. And we got stopped by the pandemic in 2020, obviously, and it caused about a 2-year delay. Rent still had to be paid. Contractors still had to be paid in certain cases. And we had to pivot, as they say. That was a popular term during the pandemic. And, figure out how we were going to take from our other day jobs, right, our other businesses, the resources that we had coming in, and pay our bills in order to keep this establishment, or decide whether to fold. Where I come from, Southeast Grand Rapids, folding isn't an option. That just isn't in our vocabulary. It's not a part of our mentality, unless you have to. There's certain circumstances where if you just can't figure it out, sometimes something doesn't work out. But it never crossed my mind that we're not going to do this. It was just a matter of how. But there were a lot of dark days, when you got 5-figure rent, and
definitely
financing and stuff to take care of, and you have to make some sacrifices, in order to do that. So, yeah, trials and tribulations are part of the process, especially if you're an entrepreneur.
Sure. So alluding to that, you talk about trials and tribulations, especially if you're an entrepreneur. We have a lot of aspiring viewers who are aspiring entrepreneurs.
Right.
Can you kind of allude to what keeps you going through that threshold when you're faced with trials? Because I think most people think it's easy to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah, there's nothing easy about it. I mean, at the end of the day, the buck stops with you. You're the responsible party. You might have somebody who isn't quite doing their job who works for you if you're lucky enough to be an entrepreneur who has employees.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you're going to be the one who's going to be held responsible for the quality of the product, or the output. And I think for the aspirational entrepreneur, the thing is, Grand Rapids is a tough city. Michigan is tough in general. That's our culture here. We're a maker state, right? We work with our hands. The economy in Grand Rapids was built initially on furniture making. It's called the Furniture City. So we were manufacturing furniture. People work damn hard here. In Detroit, the same, right? It's the big three. It's the auto companies and whatnot. It's the factories and the foundries. So we're tough. We have a tough mentality. Even the weather. It's cold. You got to be equipped, to go outside and still be motivated to do your job. And I think some of the tougher challenges are when you're on the come up, like when nobody knows you and you're trying to find a way to make your mark, you know, in order to establish yourself, in order to make the proper connections. It's not a place to easily get connections.
Right.
You have to work really hard to become familiar with people who can help you make something happen. And then even when they become familiar with you, then the next chapter of that usually is, do they believe enough to partner with you and or invest in you, you know what I mean, in order for you to bring something into fruition. And I would say that you have to stick with it, you know, because it's not going to be easy here. If you want a place where everything is already carved out, you're better off going to New York, you're better off going to Miami, you're better off going to LA, in certain cases Atlanta, you know. There are other cities where they're used to seeing young people in particular kind of take off. Here, our city, the culture is older, it's much more conservative, so it takes a longer time to be able to accelerate. But what's beautiful about being in a city like Grand Rapids is that if you're a creator, you can build whatever you want to see.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? That's a freedom that we shouldn't take for granted. The fact that if you want to own this building, like my good friend Eric, and shout out to everybody at Carbon Stories, you can buy the building.
Right.
And then you can build a creator studio, and you can bring all of the creators from West Michigan and it eventually become a national company from Grand Rapids. Here in Miami and Wynwood, to buy this building, the price would be astronomical.
Right.
So you can own what you want to do here, and you can create what you want to see. If there's not a club downtown, create it.
Yep.
You know, that's a niche. We're going to make money for years and years and years because we're the only club offering bottle service in downtown GR.
You mentioned money, and you mentioned Grand Rapids. So years ago, Forbes came out with the article.
Yeah.
That article said that Grand Rapids was the second worst city for African Americans economically.
Yes.
And I'm sure you probably heard about that article. Now, staying in Grand Rapids, what is your mission or your goals, or how have you tried to contribute to changing that narrative around the city?
Well, you know, before that article came out, we were putting in work to change that, you know. So my partner, Jamil Robinson, and I created a business accelerator in collaboration with a venture capital firm, Start Garden downtown. Now Start Garden does more nonprofit work and ecosystem work in the entrepreneurial facet and capacity. But we were connecting, you know, African American businesses and other businesses, small businesses from the neighborhood with resources. Access to capital is a very huge barrier for startup businesses, and that's a part of that ownership piece, right? I grew up in Southeast Grand Rapids on Sherman Street, and there's not so many people that look like me that own the real estate down there on Wellesley.
Right.
You know, at one point we owned a lot more, and now it's become more gentrified, and we own even less. But there's not enough ownership, you know, and part of the reason why there hasn't been is because systemically the banks haven't given loans to people of color.
Sure.
Latinx, African Americans, women, you know what I mean, in certain cases have been excluded from a lot of those opportunities, and so that has to change. You can't operate on this 1950s model, you know what I mean, that isn't diverse, you know.
Right.
That's our city's great Achilles heel. We have a lot of things that we do really well, but celebrating diversity, understanding people who don't look like the mainstream Dutch Grand Rapids, that's been one of our blind spots, and it's also been something that, you know, has intentionally been imposed on people and just the younger generation. I'm a millennial, you know, we're not standing for it. So creating those opportunities through business, creating opportunities through our nonprofit, me and AJ Hills, the Midwest Tech Project, getting people connected to the jobs and workforce of the future. Those types of things are what I feel are most impactful in helping to, you know, make the community be one that's diverse and worldwide.
And I like how you brought that out about diversity, right? Because, you know, especially here in Grand Rapids, you know, diversity is a big thing that I feel like is that gap that Grand Rapids needs to, you know, complete how this city wants to grow in the direction it's heading for. Can you allude to, you know, a lot of these younger people who want to start business and whatnot, you have a lot of knowledge on how to start, where to begin. Most people don't even know where to begin. Yeah. How to buy land, how to get approved for loans and whatnot, you know. If you can get a word of advice, you know, to these millennial entrepreneurs.
Gen Z, really, right? You guys, right? You're in your 20s, right?
Yeah.
So you guys are under us. You know, that's, I think the work that we've been doing with Star Garden over the past, you know, 6 years, that's important, right? Because they become like a one-stop shop to help you to connect with different resources within the entrepreneurial ecosystem. So if you have a startup idea, going to a Spring GR, getting some training, learning what the bank is looking for, going to, the SBA, not the SBA, but SBDC over at Grand Valley.
Okay.
Right, where you can go in and they have trained professionals who help you put together a business plan.
Right.
Starts there. Then, if you're into tech or something like that, you may need to talk to a venture capital firm.
Sure.
But if you have a lifestyle business like a bakery, then there's a lot of other, groups that you can reach out to, like a Local First, who can help you to say, hey, this would be a good neighborhood to put a bakery in. Let's do the demographics.
Right.
Who lives in this neighborhood? Who's going to buy, from my bakery? What does the price point need to be? The price point for a drink downtown at a Hennessy and Coke is a little bit different than if you're up at the Meanwhile, or you're up at the Silver Derby. The prices are different depending on where you're at and the clientele you're attracting or hoping to attract. And so it's about doing your due diligence. That's what I would encourage young people to do. You have a computer on your hip. It's crazy because you guys all grew up with it,
right?
And we didn't. Like we were the last generation where we might be at your grandma's house and you still had the phone that rotates like this,
yeah.
And then our parents, before we all had cell phones, our parents, we would pump numbers like that, and then by the time I got to high school, pretty much everybody was starting to get cell phones. But that was a big thing, and that you have to remember. When I was in high school, right in the 2000s, the cell phones weren't computers, didn't have the internet on it yet. It's crazy, you know what I mean?
Right.
So like in a short amount of time, in 15 years, I think I've seen things change tremendously. You have a computer in your hand, you can get all the information you need. If you want to be a chemist, if you want to be an astronaut, if you want to create technology, all the information is right here. At the drop of a dime, you start your research there. Then you put together a business plan. Then you start Googling and figuring out, hey, where are the different places where I can get access to capital and where can I get mentorship for my business? Because it's I couldn't make a blanket statement and say all businesses should go to one place.
Right.
But now we have places like Grand Rapids area black businesses, right?
For
My
sure.
partner Jamil Robinson has the district coming on Eastern. That's a great place to go in and learn about the opportunities for your set idea.
Okay, for sure.
Yeah.
Now you have a big presence in Grand Rapids, and a lot of people know your name and whatnot. And going through all these events and something, you got like a crazy story or something crazy that's happened, in all your time, all these ventures you've been doing.
I don't know, man.
Meeting anybody crazy
in the city or outside the city? I have stories for days. So one of my business partners, Willie the Kid, he's my big bro.
Yeah, shout out to Willie.
Yeah, Willie's the man. He's coming up here too in a minute.
For sure.
So maybe you get him on the show next time. Yeah. He brought me down to Atlanta, man. Like early, I was a kid. Not even really able to get into the clubs unless I was with him and DJ Drama. DJ Drama's my big bro.
For sure.
He's the man. And I would say that one of the times when I understood what Drama and Willie were doing was when it was like one of Drama's video shoots, and I saw almost all my favorite rappers, like the icons, the idols,
For
were
sure.
out there. Name it, at the time, Swiss Beats, The Fabulous, The Dipset, Easy was on fire. Like this is like TM 102, TM 103,
sure.
The BMF era. Like right after that, it was crazy. But yeah, we have stories for days. I was with Drama and we bumped into Lil Wayne at the club. This is when like one time that this was a Lollipop was like Carter 3, I think.
Okay.
Carter 3 came out.
Okay,
introduced me to Wayne and stuff like that. Like, oh man. New York, Diddy, Diddy is like, as a kid, one of my idols. So,
for sure.
Bumped into Diddy outside of, I forgot what club that was in New York. I was with Willie, and he was giving Willie props on his newest project, his mixtape at the time. Diddy dapped us all up. It was a movie. The paparazzi was out there. It was at Raekwon from Wu-Tang.
Okay.
He dropped the album, Only Built for Cuban Links 2. He had an album release party, so the whole Wu-Tang Clan was out there. But Puff hosted the party, and that was absolutely crazy. That was not the only time I bumped into. I bumped into Puff too, after one of Floyd Mayweather's fights. Actually, I was hanging out with Drama then too, and we did that. But yeah, Willie's man, he's introduced me to like everybody you can imagine. Hanging out with him and Alchemist and Action Bronson, like.
So nothing impress you no more nowadays.
Yeah, man. When you bump into, certain people, when you bump into them, it's like it's crazy.
Yeah.
When you see Puff, it's like that's a movie. Puff is a walking cinematic film. Other people just like, oh yeah, but you're used to it because obviously DJ Drama is like one of the greatest DJs of all time. Willie Kid is one of the best rappers out of the Midwest.
Definitely.
An underground king, completely underappreciated. So everybody knows him. Where, you know, we
For
go
sure.
overseas and, you know what I mean, in France, they're like, Willie, you know, autographs. And,
I mean, you've been around these great presidents and whatnot,
Yeah.
and, you know, I think about people that's coming from GR.
Yeah.
You know, you've had these great opportunities. You met these great people.
Yeah.
And a lot of people who want to be in that same situation, try to make it up, trying to make it out.
Yeah.
And so just allude kind of to how do you get in that networking, that creativity where you're around all of these opportunists and you're able to get your name and your presence into these type of, you know, different atmospheres and environments?
You have to take it, man. You know, nobody's going to give it to you. You have to take it. That's one of my favorite quotes from the beginning of The Departed by Martin Scorsese. He directed that, the one with Matt Damon and Leonardo DiCaprio, right? You know,
For sure.
nothing is coming to you. You're not entitled to anything. That's one of the key things that I want to impart with young people, because it's easy, you know, to get it twisted that you should be in position, or you're looking at the internet and seeing somebody Gucci down, you know,
Right,
thinking
right.
that I should have that,
Right.
but you didn't put the work in for it,
Right.
And because we are in the internet, you know, era, we're in the streaming era. Instant gratification has become a major theme, you know what I mean,
Yes.
for young people. And I get nervous about that. I like the fact that, you know, we're going for ours.
Yep.
But when it doesn't work out, people are so devastated. You know what I mean? You see a lot of mental health deterioration. And a big part of it is that it's just not going to come so quick.
Right.
You know, it's gonna be a 5-year grind for certain goals that you have. It's gonna be a 10-year grind for other goals that you have. So don't let the illusion of what's going on via, you know, the meta universe, you know what I mean, make you think that, you know, you've got things coming to you that you haven't earned and you haven't worked for.
Right.
You know, that's a cautionary tale.
I like how you said that about instant gratification, because we live in a microwave generation,
That's
what
right.
they call this Gen X. You want everything
Right
now, success now.
Right now.
And success takes time,
Success
takes work,
takes
struggle.
time, man. Yo, you know, you can ask Jake about that.
Yep.
He got denied several times. You know? He was under Trey Songz at one point. I mean, I remember those days. Like, he was this kid from Canada. He was doubted every step of the way. You know, I mean, same thing with Jay-Z. You look at his story, right? No record label wanted to sign him, so he ended up getting with, you know, his two guys, Damon Dash and Kareem Biggs Burke. They put together their own company, and then they leveraged Def Jam with the money. You know, I mean, they made other places in order to start their thing, and now, you know, we're talking $1 billion later.
For sure.
So, you know, I mean, things take time. You know, real great things take time to create. You know,
We're gonna come back to that thought, but we got something special we want to do.
Yeah, let's do it.
So we got a lot of local fried chicken
bet.
venues here in Grand Rapids.
Yeah.
And each episode now we gonna rate each fried chicken. We starting off with Four Brothers. Now,
Come on, man.
I know he.
No, I know Four Brothers.
We starting off with Four Brothers, so take whatever piece you want.
All right.
And we're gonna rate this from 1 to 10. I'm gonna let you go first, man.
Tastes like Four Brothers. This is a 10.
We got Four Brothers out of 10.
It comes hot. It comes good. It comes consistent every time. Shout out to my guys.
Shout out to them at Four Brothers. Hey, we appreciate y'all, man. Chicken fire, keep doing what y'all do.
For sure.
We're gonna continue on this conversation. We're gonna wrap up here in a minute. But I wanna go back to that thought about instant success, instant gratification.
Yeah.
Getting it out the mud, what this generation calls it. For you personally, about how long was that journey for you? But like you said, you still kind of on the journey.
Yeah, man, since graduating high school, it's been the journey.
So does the journey ever finish?
Not for somebody like me. Until you're 6 feet under, you know what I'm saying, and you've done your work, you know.
For sure.
You just want, at the end of the day, you want everybody to say, job well done.
Yep.
You know, and you never know when your time is coming. So like you said at the beginning, make the most of your time. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. And try to use your time wisely. Be productive. You know what I mean? There really are no ceilings, even with all the impediments that you may deal with in a city like Grand Rapids, because we're small. We're a big city with a small town mentality.
Right.
So that it holds us back. There's a rub there.
Right.
Even with those impediments, you know, sky's the limit, as Biggie would say.
Yes, sir.
There's nothing that you can't accomplish.
And if anybody can say that, that is Jonathan Jelks. I mean, over 10 businesses, I want to talk about Ambiance just for a second. That's his newest venture.
Yeah.
So what can our viewers expect when they show up to Ambiance? You know, what's the vibe like? You know, what's the culture at Ambiance?
Ambiance is one of a kind. You were definitely killing the nightlife scene. We come to be disruptive, to be revolutionary, you know, and to create, you know, just an experience that we haven't seen in the city in a long time. There's big city vibes down there. When you come during the day, you can come and get some food starting in March. We're doing American cuisine.
So that's when the kitchen opens in March.
Yep,
Okay.
Cajun food. We're hiring for that right now if you guys know people who are looking. But during the nighttime, like tonight, we have a party called Pressure. We're really excited about hip-hop and R&B, some top 40 in there. The ladies are coming out dressed up. The fellas are coming out looking snazzy. You know, come GQ when you come to Ambiance, right? You know, we're in the fashionable generation. Everybody's taking pictures for their Instagrams. Ambiance is the place to do it. We have a lot of really unique art, you know, stuff that we are part of creating as well.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, definitely check out our vision board wall. We handpicked every picture that's on it, and we think it's like one of the most Instagrammable spaces in all of West Michigan. And it has like a lot of our different idols on there. Some who are local, like Floyd Mayweather.
Definitely.
Some who are national, you know, like Nas and Steve Jobs. It's just an amazing piece, man. So yeah, we've got cool art down there. We're gonna be doing different installations. We'll have different DJs. Last night we had our electronic house dubstep night, Fahrenheit Friday. It was banging. A lot of people were out there. You know, we have a lot of space, and so yeah, we're open for business, man. We're really excited about what we're doing with Ambiance, and just to be in the heart of the city, right? They call that the hotel district.
Yes, sir.
It's gonna be a main attraction.
So can people like who want to have like different events try to contact you maybe about hosting events at Ambiance too?
100%. Yeah. If you are looking to do an event, please get with us. You know, you can find our information online.
Definitely.
But yeah, music, man, having a consistent place for great music for all generations. So sometimes we'll be doing jazz and such stuff for our parents.
For sure.
Our grandparents, we want them to come out. Ambiance isn't one dimensional. You know, we don't want to be pigeonholed. We're African American owned. But it's for everybody. So you'll come out on certain nights, and maybe there'll be a country act at the Van Andel, and that person hopefully will be walking through Ambiance for drinks, and we'll be catering to that crowd. That's what it's all about for us, is just being, you know, worldly in our perspective, making sure that the culture is reached. You know. So that's that. Our coffee shop on Alger Eastern, Sip Coffee and Cocktails. Shout out to my partners, Jonathan Farman in France.
Definitely.
That's going to be a vibe. That's a laid-back deal. You know, you're a young professional. You're a professional of any kind. Working out of that space is going to be great. We have some delicious coffee that's going to be on the tap. And then the aesthetic that's being created for the nightlife and for the bar scene is going to be great for Alger Heights, especially with us being right next to the brewery. And across the street from Real Foods and Old Gold, everything that's in that corridor. So that's under construction now. And then our 2-bar, you mentioned Motu Lakeshore Wine Bar.
Yes, sir.
That's a 2-bar deal. So the wine bar is the front of our space up there. But the back of our space is a live entertainment venue called Prohibition. So it's 2 bars in one big building. And we're right across from the lake. You can see the lake from our so it's going to be great for the summertime vibes. Great view. 2 bars, 2 different vibes, but if we want to connect them and do a big party, we can. But we've got a ton of space up there. Muskegon is happening. There's $1 billion worth of investment going into downtown Muskegon right now.
Muskegon, shout out to my boy J.R. Gray.
Yeah, that's my guy. So yeah, he's doing some great things. So yeah, we want to activate there and be a part of the resurgence of Muskegon.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So. Yeah, good thing. And then Motu Lakeshore Spirits, our spirits company is in 300 stores.
For sure.
The wine bar is named after that.
Yep, Motu,
Yep, we have 3 products currently, and so that's going really well for us. We have the Motu Lakeshore Brut, which is a champagne, and we are allowed to call it a champagne because the vineyards that it comes from here in Michigan is over 100 years old.
Wow.
So there's a clause that allows us to call Motu Lakeshore Brut champagne as opposed to Prosecco or, you know, sparkling wine.
Yes, sir.
That's a beautiful thing for us as far as the marketing goes. We have a Vani Supreme vodka that's made right here in Grand Rapids on the west side. Shout out to Long Road Distillers. They make it. It's corn-based. It's gluten-free. And then we have our new one, man, our hot ticket item, Eye Candy, She Saw, She Conquered, inspired by empowered women around the world. You know, we had people like Winnie Mandela and, you know, Princess Diana and, you know, Michelle Obama. We had FloJo, like great athletes, women in our minds that, you know, influenced us when we came up with that product. And it's a sweet still rosé. And man, it's killing things, man. So we're in 300 stores. We're in 80 stores in Meyer's portfolio. We're looking to get into Target well, this year is next year now.
Yep, 2022.
Yeah, so we're having some fun. Yeah, all that stuff, man. And then the Midwest Tech Project is like my baby that I'm most proud of in a lot of senses, because what me and AJ have been able to do, introducing the Black and brown community to the tech industry, to the opportunities, to the education that's needed to be a part of that. When you talk about solving the economic, when you talk about solving like the economic disparities that Forbes article highlighted so eloquently, the Midwest Tech Project is one of our direct responses to that. We have a mentorship program for young men, middle school to high school age. We have a mentorship program for young women, middle school to high school age. But then we have adult programming as well. We have a program that we launched last year called Tech X. And what we're doing is connecting ex-offenders, so returning citizens, people who are coming home from jail and prison, to opportunities in the tech industry and to opportunities within business.
That's awesome, man. That's what's up.
Those, making sure they have those business mechanics, hooking them up with mentors, and then teaching them about how they can use technology in order to leverage themselves into a good job or to start a business in certain cases. That's powerful. We had a great event at Start Garden at the end of the year with the Felons Do It Better group, and we're looking forward to expanding on all our programming with the Midwest Tech Project.
Well, man, we appreciate having Jonathan Jelks on. We appreciate you, man, taking time out of your day to come to this recording, man. Last time, I just want to quick ask you, I know you mentioned that you getting into kind of the film industry a little bit as well. Can you quick just give them a sneak peek of what's to come?
Absolutely, man. Excited. Me and Willie Kid, my partner, my dad, Dr. Jelks, Dr. Randall Jelks, he's a University of Kansas professor of history. You know, teaches things like Western civilization, African American history, African history. He launched a film about the late great Langston Hughes, one of the icons from the Harlem Renaissance. And Willie and I joined on as executive producers of that project, and we're excited. We have a deal for the film. COVID sold us up. We were entertaining different offers with some companies that you guys would definitely know.
Yes, sir.
But I'm not at liberty to talk about until we
get
this new deal. Until this new deal, all the paperwork is certified. Then we can talk about what was turned down and what didn't work out. But this is going to be an amazing piece of art, because Langston Hughes is just one of those unsung heroes, not just of African American history, but American history, period. So, and that film is going to underscore, obviously, Langston, all his works, the plays that he wrote. He's most famous for the poems, but also Harlem and what the Renaissance meant to people of color and to, you know, America. You know, one of our greatest exports is culture, you know, in this country, and the Harlem Renaissance is a glaring example of that. So. Yeah.
All right, well, we appreciate having Jonathan Jelks on. That wraps up the show for today. Last thing I want to leave with you, just anything that you do, if you believe it, nothing is impossible to you. As you see from our guest, Jonathan Jelks, you can own 10 businesses. You can venture out and do anything you want to do. Thanks for tuning into the Tim Gray Talk Show.
Life's too short, I'm on the run, but to my eyes you are the sunshine, sunshine, sunshine.